Question: should you always take things at face value? Are things always as obvious as you might think they are? Let's talk about it. Back in a minute. Hey, good morning, good morning. This is Jan from New York City. My channel name is Jan from New York City. Saves money, and I love, love, love helping people to keep some of their hard earned money. You know what? Life could be very, very obvious with certain things, and sometimes not really. Sometimes you have to like keep your mental eyes peeled, if you will, for other situations. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I bring up this story every once in a while. We experienced a terrible thing having a 5 day straight power outage. This was on the heels, the aftermath of Superstorm Sandy. Now, the great news is 5 days and nights, being stranded without power, and it could feel like all eternity, okay? It really, really can. I mean, the novelty wears off after a couple of days. Good thing mom was around. We hung out and we spoke and try to make each other laugh during the day. We had these little puzzle books we would, play with and things of that nature, just, stay amused, things like that. But it could be an awfully long day, and especially if you're by yourself. But that's just like the entertainment facet of it. But there's also the sustaining your health and your food, your nutritious needs, things that goes on in real time whenever you're experiencing it power outage, whether it's 1 day, 72 hours, 5 days. Some people experience the outage in the tri-state area for a couple of very long weeks. That is no joke because they were really like flooded in, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on with the list of negative details and that, but who wants to relive thinking like that? But there is an important thing that occurred to me during that period of time. Now, I'll give you the backstory for a second. Like prior to this storm, you know how you put on the Weather Channel type place or whatever? A good 2 weeks, even on the regular networks, they told people, warned people for about 10 days, at least minimum 10 days, about this monstrous storm that was heading in this direction. And yet, and still, there were the ones, I don't believe this, don't believe that. And one of them, we knew very well, didn't believe in getting prepared in any way, shape, manner, or form. So what my mom and I did, we did something smart because, we have to carry up the groceries, when you live in a non-elevated type of a building, you got to carry the groceries up, or you pay for a delivery or whatever, if they're available, whatever. So what we did was a smart strategy. We went frequently to the local store and we had one bag each. It wasn't like we were carrying 10 bags at the same time. That's a nightmare when you're carrying bags up a lot of steps. So we did that in increments, and we prepared for the very strong possibility of power outages and everything like that. I was proud of ourselves and felt good to know. And if the storm didn't affect us, so what? We were still ready for future stuff because the stuff that we purchased, was shelf stable and things of that nature. It is always good to be prepared, and actually makes me kind of laugh when, like, this makes me laugh. The ones that laugh at people who prepare. I don't get that. Am I like, is there something wrong with me that I find it really absolutely, it's just nuts to not want to prepare in some way, shape, manner, or form. And mind you, like I said, the news every day hauntingly reminding people it's imminent, it's going to happen, blah, 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 blah. The power outage here was actually really not meant to happen over here, but somehow a transformer blew in the midst of the storm, and know what that means. And then there was mainly flooding, and it was a real mess. It was just absolutely horrible mess. And yet, and still, there are still a couple of people prior, nothing's going to happen. There is going to be no storm. They just never listen. They never listen. So this one person in particular didn't listen, didn't even, from my recollection, didn't even have a radio. The least thing you should do is have, at the very least, a portable radio to keep abreast. And, at that time, thankfully, I had multiple portable radios. And at least, on day one, I was able to, help that person with the extra portable radio. So that was good. But there was another person as well. And that person was basing their nothing's going to happen based on the previous year, because again, there was a threat of a tropical storm and it might hit us. Nobody likes to hear this kind of news, but they kept warning us of the possibility. Well, the prior year before Sandy, nothing did happen. The storm blew over our area and we were not affected, not even in the least. I think like we had like a minor shower. It's maybe lasted 2 hours. Honestly, that's exactly what happened. So that person got so used to that thought, hey, we got overwhelmed for no good reason. I'm not going to listen and I don't care. So the person had a, devil may care attitude about it. And I was like, well, I don't know about you, but I don't like to take my chances. But the following year, Superstorm Sandy did happen, and many were sadly affected for quite a while at that. Well, I said to my mom, I said, I wonder how so and so is doing, because that person laughed it off, and they struck me as I'm not going to prepare. And that person was very unprepared. I mean, had like not much of anything. So it turned around that person literally knocked on the door, asking for help. This is why it is so important. One, first of all, don't laugh at people that prepare. I don't think that's funny at all. I think that's a wise thing to do. They care enough about their families to do that. Number two, don't just trust things based on what happened last year. Last year was last year. This year is this year, and every situation is different. And three, always try to keep friends with friends. Like, let's suppose I could have held a grudge against that person, says, I don't want to be bothered, but we read between the lines that person may in fact have been in some sort of a problem not having food. So when that person knocked on the door, we were ready. And this is the other point of this audio video today. As much as we have to be ready for ourselves and our families, first and foremost, I unapologetically say this: prepare for your families first and foremost, and for yourself. But at the same time, if something has been opened and you could help somebody, like even that person that laughed at you for stockpiling, that comes to happen sometimes. Things have a way of coming home to roost. It is always better to be able to help that person out in some way. And it doesn't have to be a superstorm either. Maybe that person is having their own personal life superstorm type thing. Does it hurt if you're manufacturing your own frozen foods, for example, and you saved a bunch of food up in your freezer and you got it to spare? Like during ordinary times, you may be having just a regular ordinary time, no big deal. Is it really any rough skin around your neck to give that person a meal to go so that they can, at least have 1 or 2 nights of normal eating? This is why we also prepare, not just for our families and for, and all that. You just never know when someone who doesn't believe in preparing might need your help. And sometimes I know it might be hard for you to want to do it, because you're like, well, wait a minute, you were told to help. Why don't you not to help, excuse me. You were forewarned to be prepared, but you chose not to be prepared. And it might irk you to go the extra mile, but we're all human. We all make mistakes, and that's just the way it works. So it's totally up to you, of course. But in my opinion, be a good steward. In my opinion, save a little extra for situations that come up in life like that. Hey, you never know. The day may come that you may be the person who's in need of help, even if you are a prepared person. Just saying. Just thought I'd mention that. All right, everybody, I'm asking for a tiny bit of help. Please smash down the like button to raise the algorithm, and so this video can be shared with more people to get my message across. Have an amazing day, everybody. Take good care now. Bye-bye.